The Subaru Crosstrek is a subcompact crossover vehicle. It was originally introduced in 2011 and quickly became Subaru's #1 selling vehicle in America. This is the newest generation, the 2024, with some new styling, some new interior bits. We're going to dive into all of that. I actually drove this recently. If you've been following the channel and seen the videos we've been posting from the Auto Roundup, I drove this at that event. I had a video coming out on it from the event, but now I'm driving it for a full week and able to give you guys a full review. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that quick drive versus driving it for the full week towards the end of this video. But right now, let's dive into the trims offered here and start the review of the Crosstrek. All right, so diving into the trims for 2024, you have a base trim, which is the base model, and it has a base price of $24,995. You have a premium trim, which is the second step up. It has a base price of $26,145. You have a sport trim for $28,995. And then the top of the line is the limited trim at $30,895. You also have a hybrid version of the Crosstrek. This is not the hybrid, this is the gas version. It is the premium trim for 2024. So let's continue on by diving into the exterior and seeing what's new here. All right, let's start off by talking about this color. I do really like it. It's called Offshore Blue Metallic. So it's kind of a grayish, bluish look with all the black cladding. I think it looks good. I also really like the Alpine Green. I think it gives it that extra outdoorsy, rugged look. And then also the white with the yellow trimming. I haven't seen one in person, but online it looked pretty cool. But obviously color is subjective. New for 2024, Subaru wanted the exterior design to communicate a ready for adventure spirit, even more so than the previous design. You have the frameless hexagonal grille up front with that Subaru badge. We have more compact headlights, LED headlights. We have LED fog lights on this one, and that's something that you get when you bump up from the base to the premium trim. You have several functional aerodynamic improvements throughout the exterior that don't just help with fuel economy, but help with performance and stability. Our wheels here are 17-inch dark gray with machine finished alloy wheels. Nothing too special, but those tires do look really nice on here. And if you want to do more off-roading, be more adventurous, definitely opt for some more beefy tires. For 2024, you get a more broad-shouldered stance. We have raised roof rails, which come on the premium trim. And with the premium trim, you get the keyless entry with push-button start. You'll see as we jump inside. Talking about the full dimensions of this thing, your wheelbase is 105.1 inches. The total length is 176.4 inches. Your ground clearance is 8.7 inches, which is really good for a compact crossover. And your curb weight is 3,296 pounds. All right, moving to the back, the hatch here. It is not a power opening hatch. It is a manual lifting hatch, but it is on gas shocks, which is great. What's also great is the cargo volume you get out of this thing. 19.9 cubic feet of cargo volume behind the seats. So you can definitely pack this thing full of gear. If you don't need those rear seats and you're really packing full, you can fold them down, and you're looking at 54.7 cubic feet, which is really good. You also get a lot of different cool little textures and things back here, which is very Subaru-like. And I like it. Let's go ahead and check out what's under the hood. And what we have here under the hood is a 2-liter boxer engine, naturally aspirated, 152 horsepower, 145 pound-feet of torque, matched up to a CVT transmission. It's not the most stout engine out there, and if I had one gripe, it would probably be the powertrain here. But this is the standard engine in both the base and the premium. If you look at the sports and the limited, you get a 2.5-liter boxer engine, delivering 182 horsepower and 178 pound-feet of torque, but also matched up to that CVT transmission. And in total, this thing can tow up to 1,500 pounds. But something that I do love about this thing is look at where this oil filter is. How easy is that thing to change? Well, let's close it up and take a look at the interior, starting with the rear seats. right now. All right, we're gonna start our interior talk with the back seats here. This is a compact crossover. I am a bigger guy, I'm 6'1", a bit bigger, and I fit in here pretty good. This is the driver position. Might be a little bit tight, but I could scoot up a little bit. But passenger comfort, I have plenty of knee room, plenty of foot room. Headroom is a bit tight for me, but it is manageable. And overall, I could definitely take a shorter trip in this thing in the back seats and be fine. Of course, as long as it's not 3 wide. I did have the kids in here 3 wide and they didn't complain much, but for adults, that would be tougher. You do get amenities like USB Type-C and USB Type-A charging ports back here. You do get a pull-down armrest with cup holders. But other than that, there's not much else. So let's jump into the front seats and check out the driver position and all the tech that you get in here. All right, we're here in the front seats of the interior, the driver's seat, and this is a really unique looking interior. I do like a lot of elements in here, although there are a lot of cheaper elements. Let me show you around. And this does have the premium gray cloth interior. These seats are really unique. It's like almost a mesh on here. You've got some green accents. I don't know how well you can see it on the camera, but it's gray with some greenish accents. And I think it looks really good. Although this one, you can definitely see, has already been a little torn up from people getting in and out. Probably happened at the event with people getting in and out so much, but that is just a concern that you're gonna have with this type of seating material. We've got gray cloth on the doors, along with a carbon fiber looking trim piece, which gives it a sporty look and is way better than a gloss black or a flat black. But then you do have some flat gray and very cheap plastic materials here. And this is the premium trim, which is only the second step up. So it's not a very luxurious trim. Plus, Subarus just aren't known for their luxurious trims. So it's just something to know going into it. And for the most part, during the week of driving it, you don't really care or notice about the materials. They don't rattle, they don't squeak really, but it is pretty cheap plastic. Let's go ahead and kick it on. We do have the push button start, which is available for the premium trim and up. And the first thing you see is the 11.6-inch Subaru Starlink multimedia center. You can also see that it does have Apple CarPlay. It's wireless Apple CarPlay. I'm not plugged in. You also have wireless Android Auto. I have my gripes with wireless CarPlay, and this doesn't let you hook up with just the USB cable. You have to have it wireless for, as far as I could tell. I don't know if that's a Subaru issue or a Apple issue, but Subaru's menus are nice as well. Not super premium feeling, but they get the job done. You do get driving statistics with your degrees of tilt, which is pretty cool and definitely useful for off-road. Little top menu can be swiped through to show different information. You do have some physical buttons for your AC and heat controls, but most of it is down here in the screen itself. When you click on it, it'll bring up a bigger screen with more controls. Below the screen, here's your USB Type-A and USB Type-C charging ports. And I do think it's cool that Subaru labels the ampage out of those so you know how well it's gonna charge. You also do get a auxiliary port, which isn't very common these days. No wireless charger, but you do have a tray down here. You get a standard manual shifter, no electronic shifting. You do get a nice backup camera, really clear image. I do like it. You can see our electronic parking brake, heated seat buttons, which is great. A 12 volt, 120 watts accessory port, cup holders. Armrest is a little padded, decent cubby there. I did want to point out the push button start here and then your trip reset button. I did accidentally hit the trip reset twice when trying to turn the vehicle off. It's kind of a weird placement, but shouldn't trip you up too much. Steering wheel is a nice size. You've got a ton of controls and buttons on here, including paddle shifters back there. It's nice and grippy. Not the best material, no flat bottom, but it is a nice steering wheel. It works just fine. Behind the steering wheel, you get analog gauges and a little center screen for driver information. The premium trim also does come available with a sunroof, and overall, Subaru says that they've built this to be a quieter, more comfortable cabin, and it is really nice, really comfortable during the full week. I like the size. I like getting in and getting out, very easy. These seats are really comfortable. Seating position from the steering wheel is really comfortable, and everything that you have to touch is easy to touch. Let's go ahead and get it out on the road and start talking about the drive. All right, one of the first things you do notice is the quieter cabin. Driving this thing, it's smooth, it's quiet for the most part, especially for the category and for the price. The overall driving here has been enhanced for 2024. The 2024 has a 10% stiffer chassis for improved dynamic performance and ride quality, and it really shows. This thing does handle really well for being a compact crossover, and I think both of those definitely show. I really do like the way that this drives. It's been a while since I've driven the Crosstrek, so I didn't drive the last years, but I do have a feeling that this is a bit stiffer and more controlled feeling, which I do like. The Crosstrek is also known for its good fuel economy, especially the hybrid version. This one, not being the hybrid version, still has really good fuel economy numbers. So that fuel economy is rated at 27 city, 34 highway, with a combined of 29 miles per gallon. And I don't have the exact numbers for what we averaged, but it did do really well for this week. And I didn't do an exact fuel economy test, but throughout the week, this thing has done really well for us. We do have Subaru's drive modes in here. You have the X mode, you also have the S and I modes. I is kind of your everyday driving, S is a more sporty curve. So that driver selectable X mode with hill descent control maximizes wheel control on slippery surfaces and steep inclines. It works really well, especially if you put some more beefy tires on this thing. You do get a new dual pinion electronic power steering rack that comes straight from the WRX for a more direct and neutral steering feel and greater responsiveness. It's not a sporty feeling vehicle, especially with that power plant like we talked about, but that does help out a bit. And I don't really have anywhere to take this thing off-roading. There's no like campsites that are really close that have off-road trails. I wish there was, because this thing would definitely handle them well. So the symmetrical all-wheel drive, the X mode, really good here. We also have Subaru's EyeSight system, which is a great set of features. So Subaru Starlink is a set of safety and security features. This 2024 has the latest version of the EyeSight Driver Assist, which is an award-winning system that offers an array of connected services to help keep you and your Crosstrek safe. We do have advanced automatic collision notification, SOS emergency assist. You also have features like safety vehicle recovery, vehicle alerts, and remote services. And one thing that they've really excelled at is the lane keeping assist and radar guided cruise control. You've got easy buttons here to set your cruise and then set your lane assist, and it does a really good job, especially if you're up on a highway. It'll tell you to keep your hands on the wheel. You should keep your hands on the wheel and keep paying attention, but it does a really good job at keeping you in between the lanes and a good distance between the vehicle in front of you. And like I said, overall, everything in here is easy to touch. It's super comfortable to drive. I've had no issues the full week that I've had this. I really like the driving position. I like the size of the vehicle. I like that I don't really worry about if I need to take it a little off-road, because it definitely happens here in Texas where you hit some off-road patches or you get some really bad rain or even ice at times, and having a all-wheel drive Subaru definitely comes clutch in those situations. Of course, if you live somewhere where it gets more snowy and icy more often, these things are super popular in places like Colorado and Vermont, and they should be. With that, I think it's time to find a place to pull back over. We'll talk about some of my final thoughts. We'll talk about my experience driving this at our Auto Roundup event and where that differed from this full week of driving it, and we'll wrap it up there. All right, guys, let's wrap it up talking about some of my final thoughts here and give you a bit of the story that I alluded to earlier about the event that we went to and drove. So first off, at the event, you get about 10-15 minutes seat time in each vehicle. Usually not enough, but decent enough to give a first impression. My first impression of the Crosstrek, despite liking the Crosstrek before, liking the last Forester that I drove, liking the last Legacy that I drove, I kind of trashed it. I wasn't in love with it. I think most of that is that most of the vehicles in that competition were higher trim levels, much nicer interiors, and even a lot more get up and go. This was probably one of the cheapest feeling vehicles, definitely one of the slower vehicles out there. And after driving all the other ones back to back to back and jumping into this one, I was left a little underwhelmed. With that, as an automotive reviewer, you really have to think about the target market here, which is difficult for a lot of people, and obviously maybe difficult for me in the moment. But after driving this thing for a full week, I completely get it. I completely take back anything that I said, which is why that video is not being published. I really enjoyed the Crosstrek. The cheaper interior didn't bother me at all. Having this thing for day-to-day use. Obviously, I'd love a nicer interior, maybe a little bit nicer and more tech, but at the end of the day, if you're using this thing for what it's intended for, that would raise the price too much, and I think they'd have a lot harder time selling them. And like I said, the Crosstrek is Subaru's #1 selling vehicle. So all that is to say that I definitely would recommend the Crosstrek if it's something that you're looking at. If you're going to take any kind of light off-roading, camping, overlanding, this thing can do a ton. Subaru symmetrical all-wheel drive is a great system. Put a little bit beefier tires with the ground clearance. It's going to go a lot of places that a lot of other compact crossovers aren't going to go. And you're not going to feel too bad about beating it up a little bit if it does get beat up, because it was a bit cheaper than most. With that, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please hit the thumbs up button. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you think about the Crosstrek. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already. We do a different review every week, plus a lot of extra videos like these auto roundup videos that we've been doing from the event. You should also go check out txgarage.com if you haven't already. We got a lot of written reviews over there, as well as event and news coverage from a lot of great authors, not just myself. So definitely worth checking out. But with that, guys, that's it for this one. Thanks for watching.